The Double D Podcast.
Tell them where they really are.
Polymuse.
That's the spot. That's where you are, folks. Polymuse, it's a entire experience. It's a lifestyle. It's the name of a podcast created by myself. My name's Ben. I got my cousin here. His name's Michael.
Hello.
We are the brains behind the Polymuse operation as it is known today. So if you'd like a update about what we're talking about right now, currently we're talking about System of a Down, you have come to the right place. So welcome, and I'm going to kick it over to Michael. He's going to tell us a little bit more about some System of a Down trivia history.
Today we are tackling System of a Down self-titled album, the debut, as we have been. We're tackling track 6, Double D Devil, and track 7, Soil, which is a homage to their previous band name, Soil. So let's jump in here, shall we? Double D Devil is a sexual reference to how pervy the media is and how push, sexual references and all that.
Is it the media pushing the sexual references?
I know,
or is
right?
Polymuse now, by proxy, publishing a sexual message from System of a Down? What exactly are we talking about here?
System of a Down, who is saying how perverse the media is now pushing sexual references. Ironically, this is one of the 3 clean songs on the whole record.
I do believe it's tongue-in-cheek. This is a satanic song. You know, it's an explanation. I think you're right. It is about modern society, talking about the different writers. We got loud and noisy refrigerators, gaining independence, and that's kind of the whole song.
Yeah, very short track here, around a minute and a half. Very much about the devil in the media. The very first line that you'll hear here is plagiarized exist among the writers of the word. So suggesting that, even writers grabbing off of each other, a big, whirlwind of just taking from each other, and even if taking from the song suggestion, that things can go around in circles, whether it's true or not. So going back to the title of sexualization in the media, it's very much a whirlwind of writers ripping off each other and just the evil in the media, and it's just a very quick track, and you can take a lot of different pieces from the wordplay and the words.
The song rocks. It's a little punk rock banger. Let's check it out. So that was cool. There's a lot going on there. That is a different rhythm than we've heard from them.
Yes, it is.
It's more of a punk rock kind of beat, even though I do believe, again, they're still just going back to kind of that oompa oompa Armenian folk music, and it's not necessarily a punk thing. It rips. Like, it's cool. The whole thing. It feels like a small song somehow. Just the riff, it's just this needly, noodly little... It almost feels like a joke song or a novelty song, just because it feels like such this little goofball piece of music. Just the way they wrote it, the way they do all kinds of silly vocal effects. There's laughing on the track that they left in. There's just little like like it sounds like cartoon music or circus music or something, but they're talking about what they're talking about. What do you think?
Stupid people doing stupid things, smart people outsmart each other. I think it's a great snippet of just a great snapshot of what they can do in just a limited section, and lyrically it kind of aligns. Dumb people, the media controlling things, people believing other things, each other, the media, and just kind of spreading things going in circles.
Right.
It's kind of what I take from the lyrics, as we said. So.
Yeah, I'm looking at them one more time. They accuse Shakespeare of plagiarizing existence. And there are things, it's photographic relapse. So there's a copy of a copy of a copy. I'm trying to figure out what they're getting at here, but a photographic relapse is like when maybe that's all it is people copying the devil. It's like monkey see, monkey do, and then you just see bad people around you, and then you imitate them, and stupid people do stupid things. Smart people outsmart each other, and then themselves, because they think they're smart. But they're not. They're equally falling prey to...
Or imitation leads to bad art could be the same. Could be a meaning as well.
I wanted to give this song, I wanted to give it an S, and I didn't do it. I didn't write it down. I've always liked this song. I've liked it. I didn't have it when we were kids, when we had that first round of songs. Right. But when I remember listening to this album, when I finally did start getting the albums, and I was like, this song is great. Like, this is like it's like I said, like almost a novelty song where it's its own little goofball genre piece, and I give it an A-.
An A- for DDevil for Ben.
Yep.
I gave it a C.
Okay.
It's just, to me, it's a fine little thing, but it's kind of a skipper for me at times.
I can understand that.
Maybe if it was extended and we had more of it, I'd listen to it more. As it is, I'm like, okay, that's a fine little
Just one little jokey riff type of thing, and then it's over, and then it's a short song.
Yeah.
Cool. Let's do another song. Is it a short song? We will find out. It is called Soil by System of a Down. We're going to go ahead and play the record for you, jump right into it, and we'll see you on the other side of that. That's a crazy song. There's a lot of deep psychological, philosophical stuff going on in here, apparently based on a true story. Is that what you were telling me just now?
Yeah, they don't. As far as I was able to tell, they don't actually give. They state that it's written upon the death of a friend of theirs. The track is titled "Soil," which is based on the first original name of the band before they were Victims of a Down, then System of a Down. An old throwback time, which I assume this friend was around during that time. Would be my assumption. Is why it was titled. They don't give a full background on the friend, but he did commit suicide, and this track presumably tells of his story. There's a lot of pieces to take from these very blatant lyrics for a lot of System of a Down writing that's very open to interpretation.
They got a whole story in here. It's an entire chain of events that they write out. There's different sections, different moods. They play different riffs. It sounds like it's about a kid, uncontrollable boy without a dad, start shooting guns that startled my life, kills himself, I suppose is how it goes in the choruses, blows off his own head. They go into the whole, philosophy of like, what happened here? And it's the very outro, why the fuck did you take him away from us? As far as, him killing himself, they're angry at.
Well, that could, presumably be, a cycle, or whether he's yelling at, a god or, someone up above, or, that piece could kind of be left open to interpretation, whether he's yelling at the cycle or the father, presumably, that started this, that's mentioned in the first verse. So I think who exactly he's frustrated with is a little up in the air. The bridge is very strong. Don't you realize the evil that lives in the motherfucking skin? It's just a very strong piece when we have the very beginning starting with a boy without a dad and kind of walking through the different pieces, suggesting that it's very much a piece of who you are, whether it's from a mental health aspect or a rough life all the way through or a rough end per se. So actually a very psychological song, possibly, bringing religion into it as well. So just, it's a cycle, or it was meant to be, or this was the path. So just a very philosophical song. A lot of writing on this too.
The part evil lives in the skin, that is the soil, the dirt. It's the symbol of the fact that it's just passed on. It's just put onto the skin.
We do have a guitar solo in here as well.
Very cool guitar solo. Terrific guitar solo. They do a jam on here. I could see you saying it was like boring, or some of these riffs are just kind of like two-chord kind of bangers. But it's about like the progression of the whole song to me. Yeah, there is a guitar solo. Then they bring it way down and do like a chill kind of jungly jam. It just builds and builds and builds and builds for the rest of the song, basically. And it gets into like crazy, more like folk rhythms. And they basically just play the riff for all it's worth for as long as they can and milk it. And it's a good one. They can play, man. That's like when you can expand on a riff and just keep taking it to the next level like that to expand out a song. It's good. Not necessarily good songwriting, but just good instincts and just being able to like craft a riff and keep it entertaining throughout a whole song like this.
So what do you grade track 7 from the self-titled debut album, Soil?
Give Soil an A.
An A. I'm giving it a C+.
C+.
It's just not in the upper echelon of System of a Down tracks for me, personally. The writing, solid. It's just not enough. For as much contrast as we get through most of System of a Down songs, it's just, against the rest of their catalog, it's just very middle of the line for me. A C+, I would say, so not quite on that B level.
I can understand that. I can understand it being more of just a kind of normal level album track.
It's just not a track I'm looking forward to playing.
That's a good point, too. It's kind of horrifying.
So, yeah. There we go.
I think the writing itself, though, and just the vamp and the jam and the stuff at the end, I think just having that on the album, just a really good like jam like that on a song, is kind of what draws me into it the most, honestly.
Sure. And there isn't a track quite like this piece
right
on this album.
Not in S tier. Certainly not for the mixtape, though.
No.
Easy cut there.
Yeah. We have an A for Ben for Soil and a C+ for myself.
So we've been doing a lot of high grades, and we realize that, and that show we've we should say this. We have listened to all the music and kind of done our grades. So it's not like there's going to be albums that come that we don't know what we've already graded them, basically. So we have a standard in our head, and it really is showing both of us how great this debut album is. I know a lot of System of a Down fans kind of do consider it to be the best. I think Toxicity is even stronger, in my opinion, but you know what we're going to find out? We'll have the data because we'll have each of our playlists. We'll see which album has, between the two of us, you know, how all the grades break down. And we'll see if the self-titled debut or Toxicity is better. Settle that debate for the hardcore System of a Down fans once and for all. They don't necessarily experiment with like other genres as they go forward, but they do find more ways to use the genre that they essentially invented. And like even on this album, each song is like a different aspect of kind of the whatever you want to call it, like Armenian metal essentially is what it is at that point, like alternative, they call it, you know, alternative metal. But so far in this, we haven't had like a repeat riff or a repeat mood. It was great.
And again, this was very much a part of our development. And as I started to listen to, I guess what I consider metal, I was like, I don't know that System of a Down would fall into some of those categories per se. And considering that this was supposed to be our developmental, you know, this is what metal is to us. I was like, I don't think this quite falls into that. They're very much on a sliding scale to either side of metal. And like you said, there's a lot of punk in here. We've got Armenian influences. So we've got a lot of different pieces in here. And they're very much on a sliding scale. Very much like we covered Linkin Park in the first season. We've got a lot of different elements that I wouldn't consider just metal. In that pocket.
And it's undeniable. I mean, they made it to the radio. It's catchy, even if you're not a metal fan, even if you're not, you know, someone who grew up with heavy music. If you show Chop Suey to almost anyone, like there's going to be an emotional, you're going to feel that melody and just the way they made that record, even if you haven't really been exposed necessarily to, you know, that type of music, or if you're coming from any type of musical background. I feel like it's just undeniable. You just like, this is good, this is heavy, emotional, and deserves to be on the radio, and a part of the canon of just great music that's out there is this kind of stuff.
I agree. I remember listening to a lot of System with both my brothers, and we're not too far off in age, so this was very much a pillar of how we started listening to music initially and shaping how we thought about rock and metal and punk a little bit, and how it shaped our base for those platforms. So next time we will hit War with a question mark, and we will hit Mind. War and Mind on the next episode of Polymuse. Please check us out on our socials, and Ben and I, your favorite cousins, will check you out on the next episode. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night, and we'll see you next time.